Small town has only one barber. And the barber is an arrogant, really negative guy. Customers in there one day tells the barber, I'm going to Rome and I want to see the Pope. Barber goes, you? See the Pope? Pope sees presidents, heads of states. You're never going to get to see the Pope. Month goes by, customer comes back. Barber goes, so how was your trip to Rome? Customer goes, that was great. I got to see the Pope. Oh, you mean like in the audience with everybody else? Well, yeah, but then the Swiss guards came out and they brought us up to his personal suite. Oh, yeah? What did he say? He said, who gave you that lousy haircut? Negativity brings negativity, eh? So you want to be a butterfly? You do? Well, good. Butterflies are free abound. They are not caught in the daily routine of caterpillars. They get to fly anywhere they want. They get to go from this flower to that flower. They get to go all over the place. Butterflies have it really good, where caterpillars got to do all the work. So the thing, though, is the becoming the butterfly can be incredibly scary. So I have a story to tell you today. Well, I have several stories to tell you. The first one was written by a woman named Trina Paulus. It's called Hope for Flowers. It's about a caterpillar. Of course, we're talking about butterflies. So this caterpillar is born and is eating and is going through his daily stuff, and he's eating, which is what caterpillars do. They forage for food all day, go around and forage for food. And all of a sudden he realizes there must be more to life than this. There must be more to life than just foraging around. I want to find out what that is. So the caterpillar leaves his family and starts wandering off and starts looking for what more life could be. Just the way many of us do. There are some of us who stay at home or go through the normal steps that we think somebody should go through in life. Excuse me a second, this fell off. Get this back on here. And then there are others who, like the ones mostly who show up in a place like this, who go, there must be more. And I don't know about you, but some of us have been through having people in our lives who go, no, there's no more. This is what life is. You live, you work, you play, you die. Come back into the fold. Maybe you've experienced some of that with your friends and relatives who you grew up with. Maybe you got a chance to break away like this caterpillar did. So the caterpillar breaks away, and all of a sudden one day he sees this gigantic mound of caterpillars going up to the sky. And he's like, oh, there must be something good up there. So he starts climbing. And he gets up to about halfway when things really start getting hard. And maybe you've experienced that in life, middle management, or you've gotten, halfway towards your dream. And all of a sudden, it feels like the obstacles just double and triple and get in your way. And you're not able to go any further, even though you want to, because you know there must be something incredible at the top. Well, this caterpillar keeps climbing, and he realizes to get past this point, he's really going to have to not care about other people and step on them. And at one point, he steps on this yellow butterfly who cries out. This yellow caterpillar who cries out. And he looks down, and the caterpillar is gorgeous. And he instantly falls in love. And so they hang out in that middle ground together for a while. And then they decide they don't need all this. All they need is each other. And so they go down and out of the pile. And they go frolic because they're in love. But the caterpillar, he starts getting restless. And he starts thinking about that pile again and what's at the top. He's got to know what's at the top. And she's like, don't leave me. We're here and we're in love. Let's just stay here. Now, maybe you've been in a relationship like that. That's felt that way, where at first you were so in love, but then all of a sudden the old dreams and ideas come back, and you want to have them be part of your life. Yes? No? Okay. So he goes, I'm sorry, I have to go after my dream. I've got to get back there. I've got to know what's at the top of that pile. So he leaves her, and he goes back. And he starts climbing that pile again with a vengeance. He's like, I'm making it to the top. In the meantime, she's brokenhearted and just feeling so lonely and wandering around, depressed. All of a sudden, she sees this other caterpillar stuck on a tree doing something to himself that looks like he's disappearing inside some material or something. And so she asks him, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm making a cocoon. Why would you do that? Well, I'm going to become a butterfly. And she's like, what's that? And he goes, it's an amazing creature that is free and has no bounds. And she goes, no way. I don't even believe that's that. What are you talking about? And he goes, oh, yes. I'm sure you've seen them around, the butterflies. They were all like us until they went into this dark, scary place within to become something more. And she sits there and watches him finish off his cocoon and disappear inside it. And she's sitting there by herself going, butterfly, that sounds so cool, to be free. So she's sitting there and waiting to see what happens to him. But you know, to become a butterfly takes a really long time. I don't know exactly how long, but for a caterpillar, it's a really long time. And she just gets tired of being alone and depressed. So she says, you know, maybe this is the way to go. So she climbs up on the stick next to him and starts building her own cocoon. And it's scary. But she does it. And she gets inside that cocoon. And she can feel the transformation happening. She can feel herself changing. Until at some point, she has this knowing, this inner knowing, that it's time for her to break out and break free. Now, here's the most interesting part about butterflies, to me. If you go up to a cocoon when the butterfly is trying to break out, and you slice it open to make it easier for them, the blood never makes it to their wings, and they don't get to fly. That actually they have to go through the entire struggle of breaking out of the cocoon to be the magnificent creature they are. No one can help them. They have to do it themselves, or they don't get to fly. Maybe you have experienced something like that, where you thought to yourself, why am I not getting more help? Why does it feel so lonely? But this is actually what it takes to become the butterfly. We have to go within. We have to have a level of faith that is beyond belief to get inside enough to then break free. And sure enough, this yellow caterpillar comes out and becomes this yellow butterfly. In the meantime, the other caterpillar's making his way to the top. He's making it so far up that pile that some butterflies are falling down by him. And as they're falling, they're saying, there's nothing at the top but butterflies. And he doesn't even know what that is or what it means, so he keeps climbing until he finally makes it all the way to the top. And sure enough, it's just a bunch of people holding on to their position. It's just a bunch of people trying to keep their status, keep where they are. And above them are all these butterflies just flying around. And he looks up and sees them, and then he notices one of them's yellow. And it looks really, really familiar. And it comes closer to him, and he's just sure he knows that yellow butterfly, but he doesn't know how, until all of a sudden an inner knowing kind of hits him. He's like, oh my God, that's my love. And she's a butterfly. And she's trying to tell me to do something, to follow her. So he does. He follows her all the way back down, follows her to the stick, goes up on the stick, turns himself into a cocoon, and comes out a butterfly, and they live happily ever after. I don't know about the happily ever after part, but I do know the difference between being a caterpillar and being a butterfly. And I notice for myself that I go back and forth a lot. That I have that for us humans, it's not as simple as a permanent transformation. It may be, there may be a few in this world, in our history, that have done that. But for me personally, I find it to be this constant back and forth thing. So I have a story to tell you, another story. You ready for another story? All right. This was my first time. Ash and I had met on the internet, and I was coming to visit her for the first time. And my flight was at 5:30. My pickup to get to the airport, 5:30 a.m. My pickup, and it was about a half hour to get to the airport. Let's see if I get this right. And my pickup was from the car service was at 4. Because they said it took a half hour to get to the airport, and I should be at the airport an hour early. This was in Cincinnati. It's a smaller airport. So I set my alarm on my phone for 3:30. And then I go about packing and then realize I really should make sure that my phone is fully charged for the next day's journey. So I charge up the phone. And then just before I go to bed, I have this brilliant idea that if I turn off my phone, I'll save the charge so it's fully charged in the morning. So I turn off my phone, and I go to bed. I wake up, and it's dark out. And I go, the alarm hasn't gone off yet, so I must have more. I can still sleep. And just as I'm about to fall back to sleep, it dawns on me what I've done. So I jump up, my heart now in my throat, and the first thing I realize is, wait a minute, I am in a teaching that says to abandon the truth in their hour of need is to not understand the truth. Now, this is certainly my hour of need. So I stop after I hit the on button to the phone to find out what time it was and start treating and knowing the truth that, of course, this works out, that time is on my side, that I am a powerful, creative, spiritual being, and I don't need to sweat this. And I could feel my whole beingness calm down. And the phone comes up. It's 4:25. There are 3 texts from the car service, which is now gone, and I got a plane to catch. So once again, I treat, I calm down, I jump into the shower, and I get ready, I go down to my car, I try to get the GPS to bring up the airport because I had no clue where it was, except that it was south of Cincinnati. And there are 4 highways that go in different directions south of Cincinnati. So I'm going, okay, the GPS isn't working. It's not bringing up the airport. So I'm like, okay, time to get centered again. Let's calm down. There's a higher power here at work, and I know this works out perfectly, however it does. And then all of a sudden, one of the highways pops into my head. Well, one of the 4. I go, okay, this is my best shot. I got to get a move on if I'm going to make it. We're just jumping on that highway. And then the first miracle I experienced was only green lights getting to the highway. I have never seen that happen before in Cincinnati. And so I am flying to the freeway. I get on the freeway, and I'm down about 2 miles on it. Big sign says airport. I hit the right freeway. Get to the airport, and I park in economy parking, and there's a shuttle bus that's just sitting there waiting for me. And the second I get on it, he takes off. He doesn't wait for anybody else, and he takes me to my terminal. So this is all feeling pretty miraculous to me at this point. Then I get to the terminal, and the line in check-in is the longest line I have ever seen in my life. And so I'm standing there going, remembering what I've always telling others about the movie The Ten Commandments, about how the Israelites kept having these miracles happen, and then they'd forget, and then another miracle would happen, and then they'd forget again. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to think of this as the Red Sea, that somehow all this is going to part for me. And I treated again and got centered again instead of sweating about any of it. Now, that line did not part like the Red Sea, but it moved faster than any line I have ever experienced. I was to the front in 10 minutes. I mean, and that line was gigantic. And then I head over to security, and again, the line is gigantic. And the lady looks at my ticket and says, oh, you're not in this line. You're pre-checked. You get to go over there. There's no line at all over there. And I get right through. And I go up to my gate just as they're announcing first call to get on board the plane. And I made the plane. And I didn't sweat it, any of it. That's being the butterfly. That's really allowing miraculousness. You know, when I'm the caterpillar, when any of us are the caterpillar, we can get stuff done in life. And we do, because we're hard workers, right? We are hard workers. We're willing to do what it takes to break through and make stuff happen. And when we do, we lose the opportunity to experience a miracle that is waiting for us as a second we're willing to know that that miracle is going to happen for us. That is really the key here, is actually knowing the miracle is going to come. You know, the thing about this teaching is I'm up here teaching it because of my experiences in it. Because I am time and time again blown away by the miracles that are possible. Our spiritual leader, Ken Gordon, tells a story about how he built several businesses as an entrepreneur from scratch and worked his butt off to the point in which he got incredibly sick, but was very successful. And then it was time to put together, he got hired as a minister at a Canadian center, and he was about to get in there the way he always got in there, to work hard and make it happen. And his wife goes to him, you really want to do this the same way you've done everything else? Or this time are you willing to let that higher power do the work for you? You know, Dr. Ernest Holmes didn't say what you embody manifests only if you then take action. He said what you embody manifests. But it's really hard for us to understand that sometimes we are scrambling to take action when we should be sitting still and simply knowing the truth and allowing this power to come forth. Now, am I saying we should never take any action? No, I'm not saying that. I am saying, however, that lots of times we are scrambling to take actions that don't need taking and get in the way of the miracles that can actually show up. I actually took a class in my 20s that was called Creating Through the Sheer Power of Your Consciousness. There was only one way to graduate this class, which was to whatever you set as your intention at the beginning of the class, to have it show up without you taking any action at all to make it happen. Now, the criteria for all this was that you pick something pretty simple that you had no emotional attachment to, because that's one of the biggest things that gets in our way of these teachings work, is when we have an emotional attachment there. So I picked a $100 bill. Now, here were the rules. You could not tell anyone, including the teacher, anyone in the class, what your intention was. You were totally on the honor that you would pick something and that you would say whether it actually showed up or not. So no one knew what my intention to create was, this $100 bill. And every day I'm visualizing and doing affirmations and being clear about that $100 bill is going to show up, and that's all I could do to make it happen. 6-week class, in the 5th week, knock on the door of my apartment. I go to my door, open it up, there's this guy there who I didn't know who he was, and he simply goes, here, hands me a $100 bill and walks off. This is a true story. I can't tell you how that happened. I can only tell you that it did. And when stuff like that happens, I don't know about you, but it speaks to me. It says, this is really something real. You know, Ernest Holmes started his radio talk every single week with the saying, there is a power for good in the universe and you can use it. That's real. This isn't some make-believe, airy-fairy stuff. But it also isn't positive thinking. It's beyond that. It's larger than that. It's where we really take the time to go into that cocoon, to know that we can be that butterfly, to have freedom abound, that is possible for us if we are willing to dig in, to do the work, to stand in the truth and not let our emotions or the facts of the circumstances take charge. I mean, that is the big key here, is not, circumstances can be fairly large, but that doesn't mean they have to be in charge. We are in charge. Moses was a butterfly. He knew. And so, what did he do to make all those things happen that finally had, the Pharaoh say, you can go. In fact, get out of here, right? All he said is, this is what's going to happen next. And he knew. So then he goes ahead and teaches Joshua so that when they went into Canaan, all he did was blow a horn and the walls fell down. Which means it's teachable. It wasn't like Moses was special. It means it's teachable. Yeah, I know how hard this is to take on, that we can have miracles in our daily life. There's a saying throughout our movements, it's treat and move your feet. But Ernest didn't say that. That's not from Ernest Holmes. That's from somebody who didn't fully believe that miracles were possible in our movement and thought, we better make this more palatable for the average person, because the average person is never going to believe in miracles, like the Israelites didn't, even though they kept happening. So Jesus, he goes around and teaches his apostles how to heal. And Peter learned it. See, he was able to go heal people. It's learnable. And that's what's possible for us in this world, right here and now, when we are looking at the kinds of circumstances we are looking in life. And here's the thing about this power. I got a quote from Ernest Holmes here. This infinite intelligence is working even when we think it's not working. If we believe that it will not work, it really works by appearing to not work. When we believe that it cannot and will not, then according to principle, it does not. But when it does not, it still does. Only it does according to our belief that it will not. So this thing, this power, this presence is working all the time. It's working when we don't believe it's working, by appearing to not work, because it always says yes. This power within us, all it's doing is saying yes. So if you don't believe in miracles, if you believe you have to move your feet, if you believe you have to move forward and work really, really hard like the caterpillar, then that's how principle will work for you. If you believe in being the butterfly, if you believe in the freedom abound, that the power of the universe is here for us right here and now, then that's how it works. But you got to believe it beyond belief. You got to embody it. That's where the work is. And here's the thing. I want to make sure that you remember that what we're talking about here, something I've talked about before, is the 51% rule. Because this is what I've noticed. I got to tell you, I am not perfect at this. That's why I was saying in the beginning, sometimes I'm the caterpillar, sometimes I'm the butterfly. When I came to visit Ash, I stayed way more in being the butterfly. But there are other times I haven't. But as long as I notice that I'm 51% on the side of butterfly, miracles keep showing up. Maybe not as much as if I was 60 or 70%. But they keep showing up. Because that's what's possible in our teaching. That's what's possible for every single one of us if we stand in the truth. To abandon the truth in our hour of need is to not understand the truth. It's when we're in the midst of the circumstances, the diagnosis, the loss of job, the missing, the alarm not going off, whatever it is, when those things happen, that's the time. Okay, it's miracle time. Right now, all I got to do is get there, in here. That's all you got to do is get there, in there. If you feel it, believe it, it really does show up, and it is miraculous. We are not here to have good lives. We're not here to have great lives. We're here to have miraculous lives. That's what's really possible, miraculous. But we got to be open to the infinite possibility that exists to have that. Are you open to that infinite possibility? Are you open to that infinite possibility? Are you open to that infinite possibility? Then you too can be unbound like the butterfly. Thank you. Take out what you're going to give. Hold it in your hand. This is the power of the universe right here in your hand. Treat it that way. Hold it that way. Because when you hold it that way, you are creating the law of circulation right in front of your eyes. What you give, you receive multiplied abundantly. This is how creation works. It is through our expression of creativity that we then receive multiplied abundantly. That's what's possible here. Let's read this together. God is the source of all supply. Money is God in action. What we give, we receive multiplied abundantly. All that God is, I am. So it is.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu es l'image de Dieu.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu es l'image de l'amour.
You are a